I think maybe this is not a real issue. I mean, the question is, what is changing school? And some good models that I see some places where in some there are few school districts where they will allow a seed of change by, for example, in some school districts in New York City, they will allow a group of teachers who have a proposal to start a small school with a different philosophy of education, and provided that they've got an argument and that parents are prepared to let their children come, they can set up. So it's still school. I mean, it's even the same buildings, and ultimately it's controlled by the same people pay the janitor. But what is happening in some of these is very different from the defining structure of what I'd call school with a capital S, which is about curriculum and classes and all, that we agree is a bad thing. And so I think it's possible that there would be a shift that within schools, alternatives can grow up. I think also we'll see alternatives growing up outside of the schools. I think we see in the United States recently a tremendous increase in the homeschooling movement because people just keeping their children out. And so I think this change is coming about in all sorts of places, and we work for it. And I think where I seem to be taking a sort of harder position that schools ban is that, I think that there's a kind of, we call it narrow liberalism of discourse inside education that talks about curriculum reform, change of school management, and has a general model of, it ignores historical features too, such as there is this bureaucracy. This bureaucracy has its own interests. This bureaucracy is not doing what it's doing. It's not open to argument about what's the best interest of the children. I mean, I'm not saying they're all bad people, but they've also got their own culture that they live in, and I don't think we can appeal to them or try and persuade them or argue with them. But I'd like to add one more example to this. I think I have a chapter in my last book, which just got translated in Portuguese, which I think is an example. I think there's an example of taking a historical approach on a minor scale. And that's not the big history of society. So if you go into schools nowadays, you see a lot of computers. And almost everybody agrees computers are not being very well used. Now, the liberal discourse says the schools don't know how to use the computers. Let's do research and find out the best way to use the computers, and then they'll be used well, and they will have all sorts of good results. Now, I think it's exactly the other way around. The school bureaucracies know very well how to use the computer in order to reinforce their own concept of school. And I find very interesting that sort of going in the 1970s, the first times I saw any microcomputers in schools, it was always a visionary teacher and a rebellious teacher who didn't like what she was supposed to be doing, and saw the computer as a way of doing something different. And often this is a bit romantic, and they didn't really know exactly how this was going to, but they felt this thing. And they wanted, and so it was an instrument of radical change, because that's what they thought it was about. And then round about the middle of the 80s, this thing got into the hands of the school administrations and the ministries and the, whatever we call the commissioners of education, state education departments, and now what they did with them, no longer are there computers in the hands of visionary teachers in the classrooms. They now pull together, and there's now a computer classroom. And there's a computer curriculum, and there's a special computer teacher. In other words, it's been thoroughly assimilated to the idea of the way you do things in school.
Fazer uma pergunta que é a seguinte, quer dizer, a escola é instituto socialmente controlado, com determinadas razões históricas e culturais de existência e com certo fluxo de acontecimentos controlado socialmente. Onde é que a gente pode fundamentar a nossa crença de que haja alguma perspectiva de mudança? Onde é que está o germe da mudança? O professor Papert falou que as próprias crianças trariam essa mudança. Mas isso não seria acreditar, de certa maneira, que aqueles que de alguma forma são controlados passariam a controlar? Quer dizer, há uma aparente dificuldade que é de superar, no caso das crianças, conseguir superar esse controle, que é um controle social. Como é que a gente vira este jogo?
Take over and control the situation.
Well, every revolution works like that.
Toda revolução trabalha assim.
The fact is, that
somebody takes.
It's a political act, and people have to act in a way. But we do see examples. I know there are examples in the world of where teachers in a school have demanded and won the right to do things differently, so they've escaped from that control. And I think that this is the political axis that one of the political axes we will work with, and the parents, and especially the children, are going to be more and more allies in helping teachers bring down the control of the bureaucracy in the schools. So I don't say it's easy, and you might say, well, then it's not school anymore if they do bring it down, but that's our same semantic difference, so we shouldn't. But that's what I think we've got to challenge. It's only through people challenging that control that there can be real change.
No fundo, a questão que ele coloca tem muito que ver com os anos 70, com as teses reprodutivistas que Althusser levanta. Né? Eu vi desde os anos 70 mesmo, quando eu morava na Suíça e que li os primeiros textos do Althusser sobre isso e dos companheiros dele, eu sempre procurei ver ver o outro ângulo da reprodutividade da escola, da escola como tendo como tarefa a reprodução da ideologia dominante. E o outro lado a que eu chego por uma compreensão mais dialética, menos mecanicista, é exatamente o lado daqueles e daquelas que se dão uma tarefa, que é a tarefa de não reproduzir a ideologia dominante. Essa é a mesma briga de quem quer mudar a política geral da sociedade. Eu não vim, por exemplo, eu pessoalmente não vim para o mundo para ajudar a direita, querendo, sabendo o que entende, que eu posso ajudar a direita no momento de ingenuidade minha, mas que descubro e que me peço desculpa e não vou mais ajudar a direita. Quer dizer, conscientemente eu não ajudo a direita, entende? Então, a briga é fácil às vezes, a briga às vezes é dificílima, entende? Isso é a briga também da gente dentro das escolas. Agora, há um outro aspecto com relação à conversa com ele, do primeiro, do segundo estágio, do terceiro, que eu gostaria de jogar aqui. Em primeiro lugar, o meu problema não é preservar o nome escola. Pode chamar amanhã, pode chamar memória. Aonde vai? Vou à memória, está ainda a escola. Quer dizer, não interessa o nome para mim. Interessa